Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 2, Sloka 51. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā hi phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanty anāmayam. In the previous sloka, we saw sukrita dushkrita, meaning both bad and good karmas will be removed. Now in this sloka, what is the result of following the karma yoga in proper consciousness will bring in is being explained here. By engaging in karma yoga in the way that Krishna has explained with those principles, if it frees one from the repeated birth and death and gives a status where one doesn't need to go through any miseries, or a state beyond all miseries. Padam, gacchanty, anāmayam. So for one to understand this, one has to work properly with some seriousness. One does not become serious in any subject matter unless and until they really feel a need for it. For example, we look for food when we are hungry, ideally. We look for doctor when we are sick. We look for job when we don't have one. Similarly, we look for happiness when we don't have it. But here the problem is, when it comes to happiness, we feel we are already in highest, happiest platform, not knowing that what we are feeling as an highest happiness is not real happiness. The real happiness is when that happiness doesn't go away and it always stays with us. Or that happiness is not derived by multiple things, but just one thing all the time. This should be understood very clearly. Happiness should not perish, number one. Number two is that happiness that we are getting should be from one, not from many. But that's not the way that we derive happiness now, because our happiness are fluctuating. Second is, we find happiness from various different objects, whether it's living or non-living. And we have experienced this several times in our life. But we are still trying to find a permanent happiness, even though we have experienced this. Because this is a mission impossible to find happiness over here in this world. And miseries cannot be avoided. That's because this place is filled with dualities, miseries and happiness. Probably if this place was only filled with miseries, maybe we all would have been serious in getting out of this problem. But unfortunately, that's not the way it's been designed. It has both miseries and happiness Therefore, people are hoping to find happiness, if not today, tomorrow. The basic thing is that it's all happening because there is no clarity in our mind and intelligence. It's very important we understand what is this mind, functionality of mind and intelligence. It is called manas. Mind is called manas. And then the intelligence is called buddhi. The intelligence, the buddhi, is used for discriminating the matter, whereas the mind is a storage place for various memories, impressions that we had so far. But with the mind, which carries all the impressions, cannot do much. It can't process it. The mind cannot process it. The processing job is done by buddhi, the intelligence. Intelligence does the analysis of the memory and comes to a final conclusion or decision. For an example, if I'm getting exposed to a fruit for the very first time called apple, then the mind stores the impression of the apple with the label and with certain description that you can think of is stored into my mind. Now, after a week or a month or two, when I see another apple, the buddhi, intelligence, process it from the mind and makes decision that this is an apple. Consider that the mind, the intelligence doesn't know that this is apple and this is the very first time it's seeing. Then that's the first impression now again gets stored into if it's something else other than apple, then again gets stored into the mind. And this is how the mind and the intelligence works together. Therefore, the mind and intelligence has to be kept in a proper state so that the mind can continue giving clear data. And with that received clear data, the intelligence can process it correctly. When either one doesn't do its job right, then the decision that's made at the end may not be right. Therefore, it's a close relationship, the way that the buddhi and manas works together. If either one is not kept clean, safe, then there could be a problem. And which is what is happening right now, and which is a cause of our repeated birth and death. Either mind is not stable or providing the correct way it should provide, or the intelligence is not proper to process what is given by the mind. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna beautifully explains and gives a solution to keep mind and intelligence in a pure state. When the mind and intelligence are purified, one becomes eligible to perform jnana yoga. Therefore, what Krishna has given in this sloka is the result that one will get by following karma yoga The result is one becomes free from cycle of birth and death and attain Vaikuntha, where there is no miseries. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalaṁ tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanty anāmayam. Thank you. Hare Krishna.